Great afternoon here. It's been exciting over the last couple weeks. I talked about it back in December that we had a lot of mid-year guys that we were working on, and with the new rules that they created with visits from January 4th through January 8th, and then coming back and be able to visit kids on the 13th, the weekend of the 13th, and then us starting school the day after Martin Luther King Day on the 17th, gave us a little bit of time to continue to get kids into school. Amy Began, our Director of Compliance and interim Senior Women's Administrator, has been phenomenal. Faith, one of the employees that we have in doing evals and getting students into school, those two deserve more than what they're making. I can promise you that. They've done an amazing job of getting individuals into school, and I'm super, super appreciative of them, and it'll be well worth it for them. I can promise them that. What they were able to do in getting kids' transcripts evaluated, and with the 4-to-4 transfers and 4-to-2-4 transfers, the junior college kids, it becomes a lot more difficult to get credits for classes they've taken that compare to classes at UNM. And one of the big deals that I talked about in December, when kids transfer from school to school, they oftentimes lose a lot of credits because they might take a class at, say, TCU that UNM doesn't offer. And for our compliance department and academic department to be able to get through this and kids not lose classes, that's what a phenomenal job they did, finding classes within our campus that worked with the kids coming in from other places. And so I'm very proud of what we did academically for these kids to help them on the path to continue a great graduation rate that we have here. We have 18 new additions today. When this is all said and done on February 1st, the next National Signing Day, we'll probably have anywhere from 4 to 6 more potential signees that will join us in the summer as we get prepared for next fall. That would take our signing class up to 34 or 35 kids, which is, it's a new era. It's a new way of doing things, which is different, but we've completely flipped our roster, which I say it all the time. If you want to be a good coach, you get good players. And then the other stuff that you do can help them become better human beings. And then schematically, they're either good enough or they're not. When this is all said and done on February 1st, and I'm not much into rankings, but this stuff is kind of cool, it'll be the highest rated recruiting class in the history of New Mexico football. We have 2 4-star kids in this class. Bryson Washington, a safety from Oklahoma, and Diarco Perkins McAllister, a safety from TCU. They are rated in the 90s. I mean, Bryson's a 92 4-star, which is the highest we've ever recruited in school history. Diarco right there with them. Those 2 are the highest 2 kids that have been recruited in the history of this school, which those come from connections. Gary Patterson, who was really good to me as a player, when he was the defensive coordinator here in 95 and 96, or 96 and 97, excuse me. I talked to him about obviously we have a connection with some TCU kids. We got 3 TCU kids. Those were kids that he recruited to Fort Worth. I am very close with obviously Sonny Dykes and Mark Tomerdal, our special teams coordinator. So I got very, very high recommendation of these young men who were with TCU all the way through the national championship game, and now they're here on our campus enrolled in school. Coach Patterson was really good in identifying kids that he believed has the ability to be really good football players. And so there is a TCU connection because, one, I've had opportunities to work with Sonny, and Mark Tomerdal was our special teams coordinator here under Dennis Francione. And then Coach Patterson obviously has been a great mentor of mine with Coach Long and such. So this business is small, and having opportunities to get coaches that have recruited these kids or been around these kids so you know what kind of character, because that's the biggest thing with the transfer portal that gets scary, is you're recruiting kids that you don't get to build a relationship with as long because they may not be in the transfer portal. But when they come with people that you trust, it's a big fold. Obviously, the quarterback position with Dylan, who we had already announced on the last one, who was in school, enrolled in school, and practicing already, the receiver that came with him from UAB, played for Coach Vincent at UAB. They've already, we've been in workouts and stuff, and those 2 have been great for our team. DC Tapscott just got into school this past week. He's a transfer from Appalachian State. He's a 6'4", almost 6'5" kid that between Dylan and DC, the accuracy that those 2 have, the competition between Justin, DC, Dylan, and then also Devin, who's here, our high school enrollee from Saguaro. that quarterback room has changed dramatically. And to see those guys compete in the couple workouts we've had out there has been outstanding. Isaiah Chavis is between the quarterback room, receiver room, linebacker room. Isaiah Chavis is somebody that can help us on this football team in multiple facets. He's still probably the best running quarterback that we got for some of the things that we did in the past. He's proven that he's a physical kid and can take hits and can deliver hits. So we're going to give him opportunities. You'll see Isaiah on special teams. You'll see Isaiah have multiple roles on our football team, which will just make our football team better. We have the two offensive linemen that we took at midterm. Devin Smith is here from Mississippi, junior college. And then Matthew Toilolo. We also had two gray shirt kids, Caden Romero, who's from Rio Rancho, and then Lane Williams, who's from Oklahoma, not university from high school. He's a high school kid. We will also anticipate signing 3, 4, or 5 more offensive linemen on the February 1st signing date that are probably junior college kids, maybe even the transfer portal kid that will be here in May. And then the transfer portal opens up May 15th to May 31st, which is a great opportunity for us because we get through spring ball. If we decide that we have any other holes that we need to address, there's an opportunity right there to be able to get some kids before summer school starts in June, on June 5th. So I'll just go through some names real quick. We have on there, if you look at the press release, the ones that were in bold are all the new ones. Marvin Covington is a DB from TCU. He was from Mansfield, Texas, Lake Ridge High School. He's another one that has an opportunity in the secondary. All 3 of these kids that we have are very, very long. They're all 6'1" and taller. They're around 190 pounds. They're all really, really fast kids. I mean, they're sub 10,500 meter kids, which is extremely fast. If you go through and watch their huddles, they're extremely talented too. And it's the reason that they were at TCU and at Oklahoma. I mean, those guys, obviously they recruit good players and they want an opportunity. And this goes back to all of the stuff that I thought about 2 years ago when they started talking about transfer portal and all the Power 5 schools taking all the great players. Well, it came to fruition. Kids love to play football. And if they don't have an opportunity to play as much as they want to, they're going to look for another opportunity to play. And so we're reaping the benefit of some of those kids that were highly recruited out of high school that really want to get on the field and show what they can do, and they have a great opportunity here at the University of New Mexico and the other 11 schools in our conference. I mean, we have a great conference that's very competitive across the board, and so we're starting to reap the benefits of this as you see through signing day. A lot of the kids that have taken. Ryan Davis already talked about, RD, wide receiver from UAB. Magnus Gears, what an unbelievable story. So the young man is from Switzerland, okay? Recruited himself to Temple, played the last 2 years as the third tight end. They've got 2 potential NFL tight ends in front of him, so he saw his role being the same way. They tried to talk him out of leaving. Joe Selfo did a fantastic job of understanding or finding out over Christmas that the young man was in the portal, and thank God for things like FaceTime audio where you can talk overseas without it costing you money. Coach Selfo's first phone call was not on FaceTime audio, I can tell you that. And it was a long, extensive phone call. And Magnus is an unbelievable young man. When you guys get the chance to interview him, does not have a thick accent, did not speak English until he was in high school. It's unbelievable. He's 6'7". What do we have listed on here? 6'6". He's about 6'7". At the end of last season, he was playing at 260. Lost about 10, 15 pounds over Christmas because he went back to Switzerland where it's a little bit different. I anticipate him playing at around 260 because he can run. He looks good. He's that hand ground tight end that we talked about that Coach Vincent has been so successful using at UAB. Andrew Henry, a running back from Louisiana Monroe, was the number 1 running back in the country out of junior college 2 years ago. Came to the very end, was getting highly recruited, came to the very end academically. Louisiana Monroe waited for him. He's done a great job and graduated at ULM and comes here. I'm excited. And you saw him in the pit on the other night. He was one of the ones leading the air bridge and the dance contest by the front door. Goes by Dala. He has a clothing line. Just an unbelievable personality and a young man. I think it's his birthday today, so happy birthday, Andrew. Unbelievable young man. Excited to have him showcase his talents in the backfield. And I think we have a pretty good backfield, so it's great to have that there. Jeremiah Hickson is Jeff Grammer, we can thank him for not letting things go to waste. Jeremiah Hickson tweeted something out about something that I didn't too much care for, obviously, about the school down south, Knucklehead. But he's in our program, and he is dynamic. He's shifty. He's fast. He's from Alabama State. Great young man. Good family. I really like the character of these kids that we've added to our program. Dylan Hopkins, obviously the quarterback we've already talked about. Everett Hunter is another tight end. He's 6'5", 240. He is as athletic as I've seen. I mean, he'll look like Trace Bruckler, but about 30 pounds heavier. So it'll give us a really dynamic position with Everett, Magnus, and Trace at the tight end position that can do different things. He can be on the ball. He can be off the ball. He can be the fullback type. He can be the lead blocker. A junior college kid that has 3 years left, which is really exciting because we get the opportunity to develop him, continuing to be a great player. We took 2 linebackers, Dimitri Johnson and Mihalis Santorinios. Mihalis is Greek. Dimitri, they played high school football together. They're both 162, 163. In workouts, the change of direction, the running, I think we've really replaced what we lost in that position when you have Ray and Cy. Obviously Cody's a great player. And wish him all the best for what he's doing over at the school that I came from. And I know how it is over there. So I think what we did in the linebacker room, and we've got another one that we have committed that will sign February 1st, that is a 6'4" kid in the same mold as Cody as far as long and athletic. So I think that was between Dimitri and Mihalis. We added some size in the middle there to help Dion. Gabe Lopez is a D-line transfer from Washington State. He's twitchy. Athletic. He'll be a really good player for us up front. Caleb Medford is one of the tight to TCU kids. He's a 6'3" receiver. He's twitchy. He's quick. He's fast. He's another long ball threat. Between him and DJ Washington, Desna Washington, they're both 6'3" and taller. DJ's about 6'5". DJ, we had to battle our tails off, and that started right before Christmas. Central Florida, Colorado. Other schools came in. Jesse Matato, the head coach there at Iowa Central, and Coach Vincent are really good friends, and I've gotten to know him, got to meet with him up at the AFCA convention, and he was a great help in getting DJ here. DJ's he's dynamic now, and I'm really excited about the opportunity that we have to throw the ball outside. The last 3 years at UAB, they've led the nation in yards per completion because of the big play possibilities that they have with all the stuff that we do in the run game. So getting those 2 guys with that opportunity, those next 3 they're already here. Diarco, who goes by Draco Perkins McAllister. He is a very talented safety. Him and Marvin are very long. They can run. The ability to the opportunity for Coach Howes and myself to be able to coach him and some of the things we've done. A young man by the name of Malik Smith, who played for us at San Diego State and then went on to Carolina, and those very much the same mold, both character and athletic ability. So excited to have them here. Hunter Rapola is a D lineman, transfer from Mount San Jacinto Junior College. Another fits like the mold of Gabe. If anybody remembers Ian Schul from last year, he's a little bit bigger version of Ian Schul. He's quick, he's quick, twitchy, can get inside and outside, especially for the stuff that we do. Aaron Smith, another DB from Mount Sac Junior College in Walnut, California. He's got the ability to play both corner and safety. We've really significantly helped our depth in the secondary. And Aaron is already in. All these kids are already in school. Which is great. DC, I talked about already, the transfer from Appalachian State. I talked about Bryson. I talked about DJ, And then we've got the other young men that are coming on February 1st, or that will sign on February 1st, and that will be here in the summer. And the majority of those, we'll sign a couple more high school kids. We have another safety that we've committed from San Diego. We've got another safety, O-lineman. So we're anticipating 5 to 6 more signees on February 1st. Which is, 35 players on an 85-man roster is a pretty significant and drastic change for some positive. And the coaches have done a phenomenal job on both sides of the ball. Like I said, our academic department, our compliance department has done an unbelievable job, and you got to give them credit. And from the top down, from President Stokes and Eddie and David, the transitions that we've been able to make since our last game of the season have been unbelievable, and truly have made a great commitment to everybody wanting to be better and having the opportunity to see those results. So it's a great time for the recruiting class. I said we were going to announce, I think I said maybe 10, 11 more. We're up to 18. Dorian Lewis, who has not been added to this yet. Everybody knows Dorian from Cleveland High School, who has another opportunity with Andrew in the backfield. I think we've got a great competition in the backfield, and we've got great competition all the way across the board on offense. Spring ball is less than 3 weeks away, starting on February 14th on Valentine's Day, the very first practice that Tuesday morning. The competition aspect of it, opportunity to go against Coach Vincent, and the great thing, the jabbing that's been going back and forth in our offense, in our offices. Obviously, at San Diego State, when I was there as a defense coordinator, we played South Alabama twice, and Coach Vincent got the best of us. So now that I get to be the head coach and he's the offensive coordinator, we get to have a whole bunch of fun together for the next 4 weeks. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That part's exciting. The competition between the kids on both sides of the ball has been exciting. The weight room has been good. So it's a great time, exciting time. The atmosphere, the attitude, the effort, the attitude, want to of Lobo football is really exciting. And what we've got going on here with our 18-win basketball team, there's a lot of exciting things going on within our department, period. And give Coach Pitino all the credit in the world for everything they've done. Coach Pitino followed the narrative. You want to be a good coach, you get good players. And our backcourt, I think, is the best backcourt in the nation. Alec Josiah might be, I'm going to put it on Twitter. I mean, if we can find our compliance department is unbelievable. Once he's done basketball, we can pause his NBA career and all that stuff and let him come play tight end or wideout for us because his energy out there is unbelievable. And then Morris, that whole entire team, they play hard. They play with Coach Pitino's personality, which is what we want within our athletic department. And it's why Eddie's choosing to hire the people that he's choosing. So it's exciting times. I'll open it up for questions now because I can go on for days. Excited as I am, I won't stop. So,
Danny, the last time we talked before the first group came in, we talked about there wasn't that many spots in the team, and now we're talking about basically 36 players coming in. I mean, what do you do with everyone else that was already here? Are you cleaning out? Are these guys vacating?
There's opportunity for competition, is what it is. Glover Quinn was in town over the last 2 days talking to our kids about name, image, and likeness, about branding. He talked to our team this morning, and the transfer portal and this world has changed, and not always for the better, what college football looks like. And Glover told our team this morning, he goes, at the end of every NFL season, the 17th game, every roster in the NFL is full. You got the 43 active, you got the 43 that play, the 53 on the active roster, and then you got your 8 or 9 practice squad guys. And then on April, they draft 256 new guys. So 256 guys, they're out. Some of that's translated down to Lobo to NCAA football. And so there's guys on our team that are what it does is driving the competition. And so we talked about it. There was only 4 graduating seniors that exhausted all eligibility. There was guys that got in the transfer portal and it opened up opportunities. So we'll be at 85 scholarships and 115 on the roster when we get to fall camp. It's a great question though, Will.
Similar to that question, you said last February that you guys probably didn't put as much time and emphasis on recruiting in the portal as maybe other programs did. Has there been kind of a market change with, given a new staff and hiring a new director of recruiting?
I think the biggest difference to me when I took this job in 2020, it was about building a program over 4 to 5 years, developing kids. And I'm going to use Cody Moon as a perfect example. A young man that walked on as a 180-pound D lineman that we developed into an all-conference linebacker. That's the idea of recruiting those kids. A.J. Halsey, get him as a true freshman, and by the time he's a senior, they're unbelievable players. And then COVID hit, and then all this transformation of the transfer portal, the one-time transfer, which is now going back to being a one-time transfer, which is great, but they can transfer right now and be eligible. You have to adjust the plan to give yourself a chance to be successful. Because now we've got, over the last 3 years, we've had kids, we've had our leading rusher, our leading tackler, all-American, freshman All-American, who, if those guys are in your program for 3 years, all of a sudden you've got a really good, strong football team like we built at San Diego State and became a top 25 team. Well, those guys had the opportunity to leave, so you've got to replace talent with talent if you want to be a good coach. And so we've adjusted our model to be able to have more kids that compete right now instead of developing them over a 4-year period. So I think it's made a significant change in the landscape of NCAA football, but we've adjusted our process. And I said at the very beginning, we've got a plan and we're going to get to a conference championship, and you might have to deviate and adjust along the way. Well, we made a big adjustment with how we're going to structure our classes. There's no more 5-year layout of I've got a class of 25, and in 4 years you're going to lose 3 or 4 of them to attrition. And by the time they're seniors, you have a class of 20 that's really talented, physically strong, been in the culture of your football program. Well, now you've got to almost do it every single year. And so I think the one-time transfer, them sticking to that and not granting multiple transfers is going to be a significant, because all the transfers that we've had, we know that we can count on those guys for the next 3 to 4 years, however much eligibility they have, which goes back to kids love to play football. And if they don't have an opportunity where they're at because they got to wherever, we're going to get an opportunity to get them now, and we can develop these kids for 3 years and know they're going to be here. So I think that's a significant change, and how we've adjusted our model. I went against what I said. We weren't going to take one senior transfer quarterback, but Dylan's a different case because Coach Vincent was with him at UAB. He knows what he can do. He knows the offense we're getting ready to install. So he's different than the last 2 we've taken.
Coach, is this another example of the changing times? I can't remember anything like this, and I counted 4. Maybe there's 1 or 2 more, but you added 1, so it's still 4 out of the 18. But the rest are all going to be on campus for spring practice, and that's remarkable.
I've never been around 20 midterm enrollees in my 23 years of doing this. It's extremely valuable. At the University of New Mexico, in the old model, the mid-year enrollees, they went to Oklahoma State, they went to Alabama, because those guys were so valuable to get a qualifier out of high school that went to junior college and graduated and was able to get there in the spring. Very, very seldom were we able to hang on to those kids here. So the junior college kids that the University of New Mexico would get would be guys that come in May or late summer. Late summer guys, to me, are a waste, because now you're going to have to redshirt them. The only one in our history of our program that has been successful doing that is a young man by the name of Devin Clark, who was an offensive lineman here back in 06, 07. He came late August and became a starter during the season. That is very unheard of. Having all these guys to be able to go through our weight program, spring football, night of champions, weight program, and our summer, understand who's on our football team, how we use them. I mean, that is so invaluable. And so it's crazy to have 20 of them. Yes, sir.
Hear a lot of excitement and enthusiasm from you. What are you looking forward to the most getting started doing?
Obviously, we have to get the offense installed so that they can know what to do and how to do it with what Coach Vincent is installing. And then competing against each other over the next 4 weeks of spring ball. What kind of progress can we make as a football team? We're going to scrimmage a lot, as much as we can according to NCAA rule, because I think it's important. We'll get some of those guys back. Tavian Combs, who was hurt early on in the UTEP game, won't be ready for spring ball, but he'll be ready by June 1. Alec Marenko, another linebacker, same thing, will be ready June 1. Those guys are so far ahead of the plan, but it's not worth taking a chance of getting them hurt during spring ball when we know what the kind of players they are. Guys that have not been in our program, that's a valuable time for spring ball. And there is a lot of excitement and energy. And I mean, I'm always this way, but I'm excited as heck to get started on February 14th out on the field. I mean, we have fun every day. We have a team meeting this morning at 8. We had a team meeting yesterday morning at 6. We'll have another one tomorrow morning at 6 before we start everything, to continue to set the expectation for these kids, because they're all 20 of them are brand new.
Yeah, you talk about the expectation, and I know you said that you get these players, they want to play, and that's a big thing for college football players. But what was your message to these guys to get them here? Like, obviously.
Well, we talk, and the great thing in recruiting, we weren't very good on offense last year. And in 8 of the 12 games were one-score games in the fourth quarter where we had opportunities to win. So we're not that far, and those guys were able to see, okay, we've been good on defense. The offensive guys, there's 2 challenges. One, we're not far away from winning, but 2, they can come around here and do something, get some national attention for turning around an offense that's been dead last in the country the last 2 years. And so that challenge for them and that opportunity, and then Coach Vincent, Coach Blankenship, Coach Selfo, Coach Williams, Coach Ridenauer, Coach Christian on the offensive side of the ball, getting together and being able to sell with me, with the voice coming down from top and going and seeing these kids and talking to them on the phone and over and inundating them with information and attention and all those things. Those guys did a phenomenal job in building this class in a short time. Go ahead. What'd you say, Robert?
What is Trace Breckler's timeline?
He'll be ready June 1. He won't go through spring ball. He had both shoulders done in the fall, but his rehab's coming along great, and he'll gain some of that weight back he lost. and the competition in that room is obviously significantly bigger. Jacob Trussell, who was really excited about giving matchup problems because of his speed and athletic ability. Obviously needs to gain some weight, but he'll be back for spring ball towards Achilles in August. So that room is significantly different as the quarterback room as it was last fall.
It's kind of a math question in some ways, but of the 9 players from UNM that transferred out and are still kind of just in the portal right now, has there been discussions about maybe bringing them back or?
So I've had a pretty good stance of if kids decided that they want to go do something, I'm going to shake their hand, wish them luck, help them any way I can, and tell them good luck. If there's kids that the opportunity, if they're leaving the program because they want to try to find a place to play because they're not going to play here. Basically, if I give them a conversation, the conversations that we have with a lot of these kids, and it's for their benefit. My first question is, how much do you love playing football? And if their question is, Coach, I just want to get on the field. Well, I'm honest with them if I don't see an opportunity for them to play here as much as they want to play, just like the TCU kids probably heard when they were there and all those. So if a young man like that, and I'll give you a perfect example, Benji Johnson. Benji Johnson signed at, I believe, Austin Peay. Who Scotty Walden is one of my really good friends. I called Scotty and told him this kid is going to be a great player for you. He is a great special teams player for us. He played a defensive role that he wanted a bigger part of. If you don't have a spot for him, I'll find a spot on our team for Benji Johnson because he helps us on special teams and he helps us. But if I can help the young man find a place where he's going to play down in and down out, then those opportunities will come. Kids that decide that they need to find something bigger and better, good luck. Go find it and then go do what you got to do. And I'm good with that too, but they don't get the opportunity to come back.
You mentioned how the basketball team is starting to play with Pitino's personality. That's a small locker room. That's only 5 guys at a time. How long does it take to get a football program to play with your personality? I mean, are you getting close to that?
If the message from the top to the bottom is the same, from all the position coaches, the coordinators, that is not an issue at all. And one of the reasons that I hired Coach Vincent, our personalities mesh really well. One, we hate losing. We've competed against each other. I know who he is through the profession. To be honest with you, I didn't think we had any chance whatsoever to get Coach Vincent on this staff when the process was happening after I let go at October 9th. I thought he was going to be the offensive coordinator at North Carolina or a head coach at UAB or a head coach somewhere else. And obviously God had a plan. As the pieces fell, we made things happen. And the best part about it is Coach Vincent wants to be here. And his son is starting at La Cueva here, I think, tomorrow. He's actually made a couple workouts with us, Brett. And so those guys, I mean, their family is fully invested in our program, which it's who I am. I'm a family guy. Heck, family's here. So it's that message coming from the top, bottom, and seeing the same personality and hearing the same thing on a daily basis. That's how you set the foundation and expectation of your team.
Coach, you've kind of flipped the script. There's a lot of players coming in. What was your thought process in doing this? Obviously, last year you wanted to win more games. Offense wasn't moving the ball, but you had the strength of the defense. And my second question also is, how are the players on staff now, the ones how are they meshing with the new players?
The first answer, 2-10. We had enough. We were good enough on defense, and had enough talent, what I thought, to win significantly more games and didn't. So part of that's coaching, okay. Part of that is talent, and giving our entire football team that opportunity. So something drastically had to change. Obviously, we made a bunch of changes on offense. We made a bunch of changes on the roster to give us a chance to compete at a higher level. Our kids are our best recruiters, and if we bring a kid in from outside, and we had a couple of them that came in on visits, and our guys were like, Coach, we don't want that guy around here. He ain't coming. I don't care how much effort and time the coaches have put into it, because it's their football team. And when they tell us that guys don't mesh well with what we've got and the culture and who we have on our football team, that stuff don't happen. I mean, we had an incident last night at some of our kids were not very good at one of the restaurants they eat at. And the manager called us. That stuff is eliminated right now because we've got a bunch of good kids. They're going to be knuckleheads, but their expectation is, one, be around people in the community. I thought they did a fantastic job out here at the basketball game Friday night, meeting fans, welcoming them into a great environment when we beat Boise State. That's who they are. And so that's how It only works if those guys have input on how you build this. And they had significant, which I agree, I believe that they're our best recruiters.
I know there's a sense of urgency with every season, but do you feel like you have to do something significantly different this year just to change the win-loss?
I feel the significant pressure for our fan base. People want to believe. People want to win, obviously. People want to believe in what we're doing. And I'm everywhere now. I mean, I do everything I can. I come to basketball games. I come to multiple sports. I'm out in the community because, one, I like being around people. But two, I want people to understand, I mean, I'm not going to hide because we didn't have success last season. They've got to believe in us as much as I believe in them. The faith that Coach Pitino has been able to restore in our community and winning a basketball team, I mean, our kids are excited about building that same thing across the street and having 40,000 people in that place again. And obviously, it's possible. I mean, we've been able to do it here because, I mean, they got off to an 15-0 start, 18-2, 18-3, whatever. You win, they'll come. And so that's the pressure I feel because I love this place and I want the kids to be able to benefit that, but I want the community to be able to enjoy a winning football team like we had here from 2000 to 2007 when we left. Because the people that lived in this town, you know how fun it was. And how much people got behind it and the expectation and the resources and everything that comes with that. President Stokes, Eddie, and David, they've made a significant commitment to doing this. And I mean, I'm right where I want to be. I mean, that's the pressure I feel for our community. I don't worry about me.
And that's the thing is the basketball team did turn around pretty quickly where you go from 8,500 fans to now they're selling out. Can the conversion be that quickly with a decent start next year?
We win. We win, they'll show up. I promise you that. We win, they'll show up. We got a great opportunity week 1 against Texas A&M to find out what kind of football team we're going to be. That doesn't make and break our season, but we're going to have a team that's going to compete their tails off. And we had an opportunity to go there 2 years ago, and I thought the moment was too big for us. I don't think the kids on our team, we got a bunch of them that have been from those places. I don't think it's going to be too big for us. We'll go out there and compete our tails off and see what happens. And then the next 3 weeks, we got an opportunity to compete against teams that are just like us. And so you win those games, then all of a sudden the people start showing up and having fun.
On the note of a quick turnaround, I mean, kind of digress. You know, you look at Brian Vincent's resume, and it's a ton of really quick turnarounds in a lot of different ways, whether he was a coordinator, a high school head coach, coordinator in college, and then he's at UAB as the interim. Was that something that, like, it's kind of an older question, was that something that really drew you to him in the sense of that? That
was something that drew me from the very beginning. So Bill Clark, who was the head coach at UAB before the program was closed down, and then they hired him. The community did a great job of bringing the football program back and hired him to be the head coach. Very similar model, very similar mold as to what we do. And so when Bill Clark resigned and they made Bryant Vincent the head coach, our success, I mean, our competition against them and their success and what they had done, all that, was a big draw. And that's just icing on the cake for, one, what they do offensively, and two, what he's been able to be a part of. And, I mean, Willie Fritz, who is the head coach at Tulane, who went from 2-10 to 10-2, having the opportunity to talk to him, we're on the board of trustees together in the AFCA, having the ability to talk to him on what was the biggest difference in their 2 seasons and being able to compare notes. And I mean, I'm going to save that for me because it was a fantastic conversation. And to be able to have people like that who are great mentors and want to help. I mean, coaches want to help coaches. And so those opportunities have been invaluable. What else? It's exciting times around here, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for coming today. And go Lobos.